Hey friends, I'm Diane. Welcome to my farmstead dream. We're in the kitchen today and we're going to make some supper. I'm chopping an onion because we're going to have some shrimp and grits, and so I just thought I would share my recipe with you and show you how I make mine because my sunshine absolutely loves them. Mom loves them. It's like their most favorite meal. So I thought I'd share it with y'all. First off, we're going to chop up an onion, and you can use a shallot for this, but I didn't have one, so I'm just going to use a purple onion and just chop it up. I like to chop mine up pretty small because Mom doesn't like a whole lot of onion. I like a whole lot of onion, but not everybody likes as much onion as me, so I'm just chopping it up kind of small. And I think I realized right here that my hand was kind of in the way for you to be able to see, so in just a second I'll switch it over so that you can see me. Not like you don't know how to chop up an onion. Oh my goodness. So anyway, we're chopping onions. Just working away in the kitchen, getting ready to eat. And now we're going to fry some bacon. I usually do about a half a pack of bacon. And again, I love to fry my bacon in an iron skillet. In the restaurant world, we did put ours on a sheet pan in the oven at 400 and bake it that way. And it's good that way. But I like my bacon pretty crispy. And my iron skillet just seems to be able to get it the perfect crispness, if that's a word, that I like. So, I don't know. I just always put it in my iron skillet because I just really like the taste of bacon fried in an iron skillet. I like the texture of it. I like how crispy it gets it. So, you can put yours in the oven if you want to. I have done that before, but I tend to burn it when I do that. So I just do it in iron skillet. Alright, so once we have our bacon fried, we're going to just take it out and I'm putting it on a little saucer lined with paper towels. And these last couple of pieces needed to fry just a little bit longer. So we're going to go ahead and let those finish cooking. And then we're going to start on the grits. So I have a pot here and it has 2 cups of water. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of chicken broth. And then I'm going to add the grits. Really and truly, it's better if you use stone ground grits and cook them for a while. But I didn't have any, so I'm using my quick grits. And that's the chicken broth that I'm using. It's just from Walmart, and I use low sodium. So we're just going to bring our water to a boil, and then once the water starts boiling, we're going to add a cup of grits. And these quick grits say that once you add the grits, you turn the heat off. I don't do that because it doesn't cook them enough for me. So I generally will put the lid on my grits and cook them for about 7 to 10 minutes. Just bring them to a boil. Make sure you stir them really well, and you want to stir them several times during the cooking process, because if you don't stir them, you're going to get big clumps and it's not going to be as good. So I'm just going to put the lid on and let those cook on simmer for just a little while. And I'm just showing you here, I turned it way down so that it can simmer, and it's bubbling pretty good. My lid doesn't fit my pot, but it works. Now we're going to season our shrimp. So you want tails off. And I have onion powder, salt, pepper, garlic salt, and a little bit of ground mustard. I don't know what I was doing there. Now I don't tend to measure. I just pour. I've been that way for years. I just start adding. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt, not too much, because you're going to add you're going to add garlic salt too. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little more pepper because I really like pepper. We're going to add some onion salt, and I just kind of pour it in my hand. Usually if you get that much, it's about a teaspoon-ish. So I'm adding that, and then I'm going to add the garlic salt, and you don't want to add too much because you've already added regular salt, so about a teaspoon. And this is, and then we're going to add the ground mustard. This is 3 packs of the colossal sized shrimp that I just get it in the frozen section at Walmart. So I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of the ground mustard. And then I decided I was going to add some parsley, and I like a lot of parsley. I eat parsley on everything. That's probably a good tablespoon. And I love fresh parsley too, but I don't have any ready yet this garden season, but it should be coming soon. Now we're just going to give our shrimp a good stir and mix everything around. You shouldn't have to add any oil or anything, or I don't, because I use my shrimp, it's frozen shrimp, so when I thaw it, it's still pretty wet, so it just kind of cleans there. And now we're going to chop up about 1/3 to 1/2 of a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. And I get the ones in oil, and then I save that oil that's left in the empty jar because, oh my goodness, it's so good on some chicken. If you want to bake some chicken and put that oil on there with some seasonings, it's delicious. So I'm just chopping up the sun-dried tomatoes, kind of small, and I chop them this small. I wouldn't normally chop them this small, but Sunshine's not a huge fan of sun-dried tomatoes. He could live without them, but he is not a complainer. He's never once complained about a thing that I have cooked, and he wouldn't dare. So when I learn of things that, he's not a huge fan of, then I try to make concessions for that, because he would never, ever complain. Yum. I love sun-dried tomatoes. Aren't those pretty? So good. Okay, now we go back to the grits, and we're going to add some Parmesan cheese and some extra sharp cheddar cheese. I've probably got about 1/2 cup of that extra sharp cheddar cheese left in the bag. So I'm just going to go ahead and give the grits a stir just to make sure that I can smooth out or stir out any of the lumps or clumps that might have formed. I guess I'm just trying to show you that the grits are done. Okay. My goodness. All right. So I'm just gonna pour this whole bag of cheddar, what's left in the bag, which is about 1/2 cup, like I said. We're gonna pour that in, and then this bag of Parmesan cheese has 1.5 cups in it, so I'm gonna put about half of that into the grits. So I'd say about 3/4 of a cup. You put as much cheese as you want. I like a lot of cheese, so I like for the cheese to be stringy when I spoon a spoon of grits up. I like for the cheese to string. So if you don't like that much, you can put less, or if you like more, put more. It's really all subjective to whatever you like, because you're the one that's going to be eating them. Putting the lid back on just to make sure that the cheese melts really well. I don't want any, hard clumps of cheese. Alright, so now that I have my bacon out, I've left the bacon fat in there, and we're going to add the onions. We're going to start sauteing. And we're not going to cook them that long. Just enough to kind of, again, get them coated well in that bacon fat flavor, yum. And we're going to also add those sun-dried tomatoes, and I'm adding a little bit of that oil in there with it because it just adds to the flavor of the dish. So we're going to saute these together. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes. You can saute yours longer. I like to have a little bit of a bite to my onions, so I don't saute them until they're completely soft. And now we're going to add in some minced garlic, and I'm just going to add a couple of teaspoonfuls, heaping teaspoonfuls, because I love garlic. And garlic's very healthy for you, so just going to add that in, and then we're just going to stir it in and just kind of saute it all together. I wish you could smell it. It smells so good right now. Oh my goodness. And I am really hungry, so I am ready for it. Okay, we've let it simmer for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to take the rest of that box of chicken stock or chicken broth and just pour it into there. It's about 2 cups. I used 2 cups for the grits and 2 cups for the shrimp. You can use wine here if you prefer. I love wine. I love a good glass of wine, but I just don't like cooking with wine. I don't like the flavor that it gives the food, so I much rather have chicken broth. But if you want to use wine, you go right ahead and use wine. It's just according to your taste. And now once we've brought that to a boil, we're going to go ahead and put our shrimp in. And it doesn't take long for this shrimp. You don't want to overcook it because it'll be tough. So I'm just kind of stirring it in, and I'm kind of mixing in the seasonings that I have on the shrimp, kind of mixing it in with the whole dish. And then here I'm just kind of pressing all my shrimp down, and I'm trying to make sure that it is as submerged as I can get it into that broth so that it will cook well and cook evenly. And then we're going to add a little bit of lemon juice just to brighten up the flavors. And I'm not going to stir it just yet because I've already got my shrimp in place, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the lid on and cook it for, I'm going to turn it down just a little, and then we'll cook it for about 5 minutes and give it a good check. So now the grits are done. The cheese is all melted. Oh my goodness. Look at how delicious those look. Nice and steamy. So I'm just going to put the lid back on so they stay warm until the shrimp is cooked. And we're going to give the shrimp a check. It smells so good. And the shrimp is pink, so that means it's cooked. You just want to cook the shrimp until it turns pink. You don't want to keep cooking it for very long after that, because again, it will be tough. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the heat. I'm going to grab a cup or a bowl. These are, we like to use the soup bowls that have handles because it's easier for Mom to hold it. So I always just get everybody a soup bowl. And I'm going to put a couple of scoops of grits in the bottom. I don't put much for Mom because she eats like a bird. So a couple of scoops in the bottom. And I had a little bit of a difficult time here trying to show you what I was doing. In my kitchen, it's terrible trying to film in my kitchen, so I apologize. And then we're just going to get a couple of scoops of the shrimp and put it in the top of the bowl. And then you want to make sure that you add some of that broth. I'm going to usually add a couple of scoops full of that broth because it just makes everything delicious. That's where a lot of the flavor is. And then, look how delicious. Oh my goodness. Now we're just going to add a little bit of chopped up green onions. You can use chives if you don't have green onions. And then I'm going to crumble up the bacon that I fried earlier, and we're just going to top it off with that bacon. Bon appetit. Let me know if you try this. Put any comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the notification bell. Big hugs.